Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you again. Nice to see you again. Today, I have a really fantastic topic to discuss with you. The question is Web3 good for you or not? I'm thinking about the business point of view in this case. So I'm not talking about the mental topic, individual topic, and so on. This is totally separate discussion, important as well. But this is something else. Today, I want to discuss from the business point of view, is actually Web3 good for you or not? My name is Professor John Keating, and I will do my best today to give you an interesting overview about this topic and to teach you, let's say, to show you what was our strategy actually. I will show you our journey, and you will be able to learn from that journey, let's say. If you are already in Web3 space, then I think it will be very interesting for you, if you are successful, to see and to hear the story about a traditional company like we are, and what were the struggles that we had, what were the ideas, and so on. On the other side, if you are already in the Web3 space and maybe not that successful as you would love to be, this presentation can help you to see, let's say, what are maybe the struggles that we had, and out of that you can learn, based on that you can learn, and you can avoid some of them on your side and become even more successful than you are already. If you are not in the Web3 space, this presentation can help you either to show you the potential based on the strategy that we had and why we started everything. Or if you already see the potential, you can see what was the way that we used, let's say, to fulfill our ideas and to create, let's say, the strategy and to run it successfully. I will present you our Web3 journey by presenting first the context of the story. You should know where we are starting. Then I will tell you what was the point where we started, let's say, who are the protagonists, because we have them as well. We have the heroes and we have the guys that are trying to stop us on the guys, not the real person. And we learned certain things, of course, on our way to the target. But the question is, before that, did we reach the targets or not? So these are the topics that we want to discuss today. Let me give you just a couple of words about myself. I'm an engineer. I studied in Germany, and I'm living in the moment in Hamburg, in Germany. My career started as a developer. I moved after that to the project management and the sales and account management. And the last position in the company called Dibot Nixdorf was actually the leading of the department with more than 400 developers around the world. Beside that, I'm running my own company since 19 years. This is a very traditional company. I will give you a couple of words about that in a couple of seconds. I love internet, I love social networks, I love algorithms, marketing, and business concepts. And to say it in the Web3 words, I'm totally doxed. So if you like, you can follow me on Twitter or on the LinkedIn, and you can find over there all the details about myself and the company that I'm running. Beside that, I'm also Professor John Keating, and Professor John Keating is actually a character which is totally addicted on social networks. He's nerd related to algorithms. He loves crypto world. He's hacker because he loves to program as well. He has a very high ethical and moral principles, and he is a great fighter for decentralization, democracy, and freedom in everything. Freedom of speech, freedom of being who you are, and so on. And he is actually a teacher. Why am I actually Professor John Keating as well? I will explain you later in this presentation. It was very important part of our strategy, and it is still important part of the strategy, and I will give you the information about that later on. Before we go into the details, before I give you the context of everything, of our journey, I want to demystify, let's say, the Web3. Usually, in this moment, in this kind of presentation, then the people are starting to explain what is actually Web 1, what is Web 2, and how was the evolution of Web 1 to Web 3, that what we have today, explaining the decentralization and centralization and so on. I don't want to do that. I want to create a little bit different definition. If I'm talking about Web 2, I'm talking about traditional, old-fashioned businesses. If I'm talking about Web 3, I'm talking about new businesses, related, of course, to the newest technologies like blockchain, but majorly I'm talking about new businesses. If I'm talking about business, I think it's very important to understand that I don't think that Web3 is metaverse, NFT collections, blockchains, crypto, and so on. Those are maybe important elements, but they are not Web3. Later, I will come back to this slide and explain you exactly why I think like that. From the business point of view, I see Web3 as a business. Very, very simple. Let me give you some words about my company. So my company is called Fiscal Solutions. We are very, very, very traditional company. We are actually developing software. And the software that we are developing is very low-level software, very near to the hardware. And even that is very traditional. There are not that many companies which are doing that. Maybe the old-fashioned companies like we are. We are still using the methodology from, I don't know, 100 years ago, and it's called waterfall software development model. And we even not the original one, let's say, we are using one which was created by Siemens, and almost nobody in the world is using it today, but we still do. So we are really traditional. And if we see our business from the financial point of view, we are a license-based system. So this means we are basically selling the licenses. Of course, we have also something like SaaS model, we have something like transaction-based model, and so on, but these are somehow extensions, let's say, of the license-based model. If I have to put in one sentence description of Fiscal Solutions, are we Web 1, Web 2, or Web 3? I can say that we are 80% Web 1. So this means really, really traditional company. Just 20% Web 2, because we do have some products which are going into the direction of internet. We are developing also cloud-based solutions. So this means we have some major elements of Web 2 companies as well, but the percentage is very small. We are very successful. Our products are used in 22 countries. And one of the countries, so this is 23rd, is actually Metaverse. And this is now something that is showing our strategy, actually. So we are treating Metaverse as a separate country. We don't differentiate between Germany and Metaverse. For us, it's totally same. And everything will become totally clear if we run through the presentation. Then you will understand also absolutely why. So I don't see the possibility that some companies more traditional than we are. Although we are working with very big systems, although we are active in many international organizations, although we have some very modern products, but we are actually very, very traditional company. And now this kind of traditional company is thinking about Web3. Of course, the first logical way to think about Web3 is to check the products which you have and then to try to migrate them to Web3. We have just 4 products, and I think each of them can be migrated into the Web3. For example, the first one which we have is called Fiscal Portal. It's a subscription-based internet portal where our customers can log in and can download, let's say, the information about the countries where they want to install their stores. It's a typical system, typical software, typical platform, which can easily be token gated. So we could create NFTs, which are like tokens that are identifying the subscribers. By using them, they could access the platform. Could be. The second group of products which we have are so-called workshops. Even this is something which we could tokenize. We could develop some kind of NFTs with the utility to enjoy the workshops if you own the NFT. Okay, fine. The third product is actually the software itself. So the software itself, I told you we are selling actually the licenses, and the license is nothing else than the right to use the software. This is perfect for an NFT. If you own the NFT, you get the utility, the right to use our software. This would be a great idea to tokenize the software license, let's say, and to move by that into the Web3 space. The fourth product is actually the SLA topic. So we have SLAs with our customers. We are supporting them. And this could be the similar thing. If you own our NFT, which is actually representing the SLA, we could provide you the services. This would be the first idea which everybody could have if you are running this kind of company. And this would be maybe the first idea of the strategy to migrate, let's say, into the Web3 space. This is what we had as well. Our first idea was as well to port those products like Portal to token gated software licenses and so on into the Web3 space by using NFTs. But to be honest, it was not successful. We decided very fast that it doesn't make sense. And why? There are several reasons. Actually, in the new world, you have two spaces. You have Web3 space and Web2 space. Outside, where you have Web3 space or inside the Web3 space, and you have everything what is outside Web3 space, Web2, Web1, and so on. If we are talking about our customers, even if those guys are maybe in the Web3 space, the number of the customers that we could have in Web3 space is very, 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 very small. And those retailers which are in the Web3 space and the people which are in the Web3 space, they are probably not interested in the country requirements for Romania, because this is totally different product and they will not have any kind of wish to own this kind of NFTs. So even if we would be in the Web3 space, even if we would have the reach in the Web3 space, what we don't have, to reach the customers, the amount of customer would be so small that it doesn't make sense. And even if we do that, the way how we are explaining in the Web3 space, our product, which we are migrating, would be so complex that nobody would understand. If I tell you in the Web3 space, which are already very, very deep inside, that we have the country requirements from Romania in as NFT, let's say, that you can access if you own our NFT. Okay, so this is the world inside the Web3 space. The world outside of the Web3 space don't understand Web3 space. So even if I tell them what is NFT, they will not understand. And the third point, and I think this was the biggest point, we were simply not able to explain why is beneficial, why it's so good to do it with NFTs. I think if you want to access some kind of subscription-based portals, you can type in your password and your ID and that's it. You don't need NFT. So the big benefits coming from the NFTs, in that case, in our case, are not really visible and we were not able to explain them. And that was the reason why we decided that the migration of our products into the Web3 space doesn't make sense at all. But we still understood something else. Our conclusion was that if we see the potential that will come in the future, we don't need to migrate our products in that direction. We need to prepare ourselves for the future that we see. And for that, we need to start creating. Then the question of migration is not appearing anymore. If this means that we have to migrate some of the products, fine, but maybe it's something totally different. So the key is the potential that we see in the Web3 and not the migration strategy of the existing business. By that conclusion, we started analyzing our markets and our environment. And the first step in analyzing that was to analyze the retailers. And we are talking now about the time around ending of 2021, beginning of 2022. At that time point, there were just 2 or 3 retailers which were already active in the Web3 space, Adidas, Gucci, and Forever 21. And there were several retailers on the other side which asked us about this space, about metaverse, and so on. There were some rumors, they were talking about that, but there were no concrete plans which we could see, but they were talking about that. So on one side, we saw that. On the other side, as we are since 19 years in the retail environment, we know exactly how the retail evaluated through the time. We started with the cash drawer, let's say, with a very simple processes and businesses. Then the POS system automated lots of processes and the retail becomes very creative. As the technology developed in parallel, the systems develop as well. So the next stage was something like mobile shopping, e-commerce, social commerce, and this is like a group of at that stage of the evolution. Then we moved into the area of the self-service, like for example, self-checkouts, where the customer is involved, let's say, in the sales process, part of it. And by that, the experience of the customers is much higher. And then we are Now, in the last stage of evolution, which we have today, we are calling it just walk out. Actually, those are the concepts of the stores, like, for example, Amazon Go, where you just pick up your products, you take them, and you move out of the store. You just walk away. That's it. And the systems are smart enough to recognize that and to handle all the processes on the back. This is the state of the art. This is where we are today. But now the question is, what is actually the next step? What could be the next step? And we think that we recognize that only technology, which is today, not just technology, but everything around the technology, which is enabling the next step, is actually related to the web3. We don't see anything else. So this was the second dimension that we analyzed. The third dimension was something which is very special, and this is actually the creation of the new retailers. And now I will give you something which maybe can change your picture of the world. Yuga Labs is actually not just owner of the world famous NFT collection. Yuga Labs is the new retailer. And this is just an example. There are much more of that kind of the new retailers which are selling the new products. Yuga Labs sold around April, I think, of this year, more than $320 million for the new, and earned $320 million with new type of products, which are actually digital products. So there is a new retailer, totally new retailer, with totally new products, and the traditional retailers could feel a little bit under the pressure, because this retailer could sell the other products as well. And they did that. They are starting with that as well. They are selling every year so many different merch. This is a huge retail business. It's like a fashion, actually. So Yuga Labs is not just a company which is creating NFT collection and metaverse. It's a new retailer. And just to put on top of that new retailing, another example, Azuki is a worldwide famous NFT collection as well. For me, it's another retailer. It's not just a NFT collection. They sold, and just to give you a proof of that, a couple of months ago, they sold 8 gold skateboards for $2.5 million within several hours. And even more, they created something which is changing the retail as well forever. So they created a technical standard which is actually connecting the physical and digital world, digital Web3 world, on a perfect way. It's so-called PBTs. So these are the chips which are actually included in the physical products and which are creating the relation or connection with the Web3 space, with the NFTs. So these are the new retailers with totally new products. What do you think? What are the retailers thinking if they see that? They see potential competition coming. So this was the fourth dimension, I think, that we analyzed. And then we thought, okay, the next point is to understand what are actually the governments doing. Because if the retailers are moving towards Web3 space, something is happening. And we are the company which is producing the Fiscal Solutions, so means the implementation of the fiscal laws. The question is, will the governments around the world create an environment which is suitable for us, where we can run our business in the future? We started analyzing it, and we were very, very surprised. And I'm bringing you just one example on this slide, why we were so surprised. This is an example of the European blockchain project, which is called EPSI, started already in 2018. So this means 4 years ago. 2020, they installed already first pilots related to the digital identity on the blockchain. So this means we didn't know that. And this means that the governments are already longer on that topic than we think. They are older in the Web3 space than we are. We are just maybe 1 year, and these guys are since 4 years already there. So this means governments are doing a lot in the moment. As we saw that, we had, of course, to understand other requirements which we have in the fiscal environment. Are those environments actually, or those requirements, can we fulfill them with blockchain technology? Can blockchain technology be used in the fiscal environment to fulfill the requirements of the fiscal law? We created a list of high-level requirements, of course. And we matched, let's say, the blockchain characteristics and technological characteristics with the requirements, and the result was very, very positive. Only two requirements are not 100% fulfilled. One of them is the speed of transaction. In retail, we are talking about milliseconds, which you have to conclude, to finish your transaction. In blockchain, this transaction time could take a longer time, and this is, of course, sometimes a problem. And the second topic, which was not really fulfilled 100%, was the size of transaction, as the size of transaction on the blockchain is limited, but there are solutions for that as well. So actually, for both of those problems, more or less, or challenges, there are already some indication that there will be very soon solutions as well. So we are expecting that all of those topics will be easily to solve in the near future. Everything together led us to the creation of the vision which we had. We had a vision, or we are even quite sure that this vision will be, that we recognize it right, and that this will be implemented very soon. We recognize that retailers will move toward Web3. They don't have other chance because of the evolution, but also because of the money. There is a money in the moment, and the retailers are very creative. If we are talking about how to earn money and how to create profits, they will use the situation, they will move over there just to make the profits, even if this is just a hype which will take a couple of months and then die. They will do that. On the other side, the governments will not look just like that, watch it just like that, without doing anything to collect the taxes which they actually should. So we are totally sure that in one moment, the regulation, the laws, will regulate what the retailers are doing in the Web3 space in order to collect the taxes. And in that moment, there will be fiscal law. And we want to be ready with knowledge. We want to have the experiences which we can prove, and if possible, some kind of references which are proving our experiences and our knowledge, so that retailer and governments can use our services immediately. So this is the vision that we had. So we decided, as you remember, not to migrate the products, but we decided to analyze the vision and then to work towards implementation of that vision. Our journey started. So the hero of this journey is, of course, Fiscal Solutions. And what were the targets, let's say, that we had? First, we wanted to learn what is actually Web3 in detail. We wanted to understand technology, the business concept, how is everything working. So this was the first and most important part. The second, we wanted to create provable experiences so that everybody knows, yes, these guys knows what they're talking about. And we wanted to create provable references, if possible. But this is, of course, very difficult, because if the fiscal law is not existing and our core business are the fiscal laws, we cannot implement them. So this means we are not able to create real references, but we can create references which are proving our experiences and knowledge. And ideally, it would be to create the profits on the way to the implementation of the vision. But if not, it's not a problem. The point is to create the profits at the end as the vision is implemented, or maybe as a relationship between Web3 and Web2, we can create the profits based on the Web3 in Web2. But it was not that easy. It sounds very good. We had also the guys, protagonists, which are working or creating the problems to implement that. First, it's very, very difficult to educate the old-fashioned traditional company, which is existing since 19 years, in something totally new, especially because in Web3 you have to change the mindset. The second biggest protagonist, let's say, was to create references for something that is actually not existing yet. There are no fiscal laws in the moment in the metaverse. So how to create references and how to create the profits with something which you don't know and which is already not really, almost not existing as well. It's just in the beginning. So that's why, but at the end, of course, there are other companies and other projects which want to make the profit too. So you have to deal with competition as well. All those protagonists are making our life not that easy, but we defined activities we wanted to do, and the first set of the activity was actually to learn. So we started monitoring Web3 space. We wanted to identify first the leaders of the Web3 space and then to attach ourselves somehow to those leaders, first to learn from them and then to apply some of the principles and strategies which those guys are using in our case and to be successful by that. The second point was to create internal trainings in order to, and educational strategy in order to be able to transfer and transform the company from typical Web 2 into the Web 3. So to teach the people the real basics. And if I say real basics, I mean what is behind, let's say, all those things. We had to go deep into the detail to understand the algorithms and so on in order to be able to create the benefits, concepts, and so on. The result was that we identified the leader. It's definitely for us Yuga Labs. We attached ourselves somehow to them and we learned the basics. But then we had another problem. So the problem was, okay, we now learned something, but how to become visible, how to show that we know something, how to learn more deep into the detail, how the projects are really run. And I mean the all details of the project, like, I don't know, how much is the salary of the Discord manager. You have to learn all these kind of things if you want to advise and if you want to run your own projects. And then we had, of course, still the problems how to prove our knowledge and how to create references in the system, in the environment, which is just on the beginning. Okay, this led us to the second set of the actions. And the second set was, of course, to learn more in detail by becoming the member of the community. So we knew that only if we are the member of the projects, of the communities, we will be able to learn out of those projects. But then the question is, why should you get the information from the projects if you are not giving anything to those projects? So we knew that we have to give the value to the community first in order to receive the valuable information for us. And the third point, this was very clear, the third point was for us, if we want to be successful and visible in the space, we could use somehow the marketing strategy, which is referencing somehow to the leader of the space. The result of those three ideas and actions were actually to buy the ape, mutant ape, to create a masterclass. So this means that what we are running today is a masterclass, as a free masterclass. Who everybody can attend it, everybody can enjoy it, and by that we are providing the value. By education, we are providing the value to community, and we put everything under the umbrella of the Ape School in order to have the marketing stamp, let's say, on it, and relation to the Yuga Labs, because we wanted to have that relationship. We thought this will help us in the marketing activities, and it did. But still we had a problem. Now we had, of course, we had a good idea, we had something to give as a value, but how to become visible, how to attract the people to enjoy this value and to give us the value back. And again, how to show the knowledge and how to create the references. The next set of activities was there, of course. And in the next set, we started running the masterclasses, of course. The masterclass was really good. We created a good visibility. There were, in first two, we had more than 1,300 students which registered for the masterclass. So the visibility started a little bit to grow. But it was definitely not enough for the targets which we had. So we had to do more. The idea which we had is to create the Professor John Keating character. So it's actually identity. It's a guy which was really existing in the movie called Dead Poets Society, with certain characteristics. By the way, great movie and great character. So take your time and watch this movie. I can recommend you. It's really great. So we created Professor John Keating, and we gave by that the face to the school, to the Ape School. So now we had the Ape School with a one marketing strategy, and we had add-on to that marketing strategy means face of the school called Professor John Keating. But Professor John Keating was not famous. Nobody knew for them, especially the newer generation and so on. So the next problem was to create a reputation of the John Keating. He should be the name in the space. Otherwise, he will not be visible at all. And whatever is he doing, nobody will see that. With other words, we had to implement something like influencer. But if I'm saying influencer, I don't think about account, or I don't think on account with millions of followers. This would be perfect. but it's not needed. It's needed to be influencer in your space, let's say, with influential people that are really valuable in the space. So I think influencer in that environment. But how to create an influencer? Is there a recipe for that? Is there a strategy for that? Please don't forget, we are actually software-based company. We are traditional software company. We are producing software. We are not marketing agencies. So we didn't knew nothing about this area. It's like putting somebody in China, telling them, okay, now speak Chinese. How can I do that? No way. So it was a big problem for us, of course, to do that as well. But we started. We run that. So we created a story around Professor Keating. We created the marketing strategy that we thought it's a good one. We created a Twitter strategy because Twitter is the most important tool, a marketing tool in the Web3 space. And we start promoting Professor Keating by something which is very special. We gave the Professor Keating also the real person. So this means I took the identity of the Professor Keating because it's somehow similar to my character as well, fighting for freedom. No, but I mean, really, like I love to teach and so on, and I am somehow a hacker. If you remember my presentation of myself in the beginning and of the Professor Keating, there are lots of similarities. And I started, let's say, providing the value as much as I can, and the team as well. It's not just my work, it's a teamwork. We started providing the value to the community by giving the knowledge as a Professor Keating and as an Ape School. And this led to the success. And I can show you now on the left side, you see a small picture of the Twitter space that we had a couple of weeks or days ago with it was really, really great. And it was a very nice space. And those guys which are running it are doing it so perfectly. And after that space, this member of the space, one of the speakers, published this picture. And I was just kidding. I was just answering on that, telling them, hey, that's me in the picture. And by the way, it was great space. And then I tagged the guys which did that. And then I saw the results or the comments on the right side. And then my most favorite comments are like, it means a lot for such a legend in this space. So this means the strategy which we had, the provision of the value which we had and have, led to the situation that Professor Keating is somehow visible in the space and reputable in the space. He has a certain reputation. And this is really, really great. This was the target that we had. But still, our journey as a company was not over. We still had some problems. How to prove your knowledge and how to create references, because the fiscal law is not in the metaverse yet. So the problems were still there or still are there. So we decided to focus on the NFTs. But why on the NFTs? Because the retailers are doing that. And our major customers are retailers or the post-software vendors which are producing something for the retail. So that's why we focus on the retail. And we thought if we are able to show and create the knowledge around NFTs, we will be able to create provable experience and even references. Because in that case, the Ape School becomes the reference. Nobody will think that you are not that you don't have a needed knowledge if the students which are coming out of the school are telling you, hey, these guys have real knowledge. So this is like a real life reference, but not direct reference, because of course there is no fiscal law which we could implement. So we decided to create several different NFT collections in order to learn all the differences between the collections, because it's not the same if you are issuing the small collection with, I don't know, 20 NFTs with certain standard, or if you are issuing the big collection with lots of PFPs or whatever. So the first group of collections, even which we decided to publish, were the NFTs which we are giving as a certificate after the masterclass. Those NFTs are created on the ERC 721 standard. So far so good. This is not that big issue. But what is big issue, we are more or less dynamic. So this means I don't know exactly which artist will create the NFTs for my next collection. And I don't want to put each NFT collection, small collection, as a separate collection in a separate contract. We wanted to have everything in one collection under the umbrella of one contract. And this was a little bit tricky, to be honest, and we solved this problem by using the weak point of the NFTs. And the weak point is actually that you can change the metadata as you like. And that's what we are doing. Each time if the masterclass is finishing, we are changing the metadata of all NFTs which we have. And this is creating a kind of dynamic impression of the dynamic collection with just one or two smart contracts which are controlling all of that. The second group of NFTs which we issued in order to learn was ERC 1155, and this was, of course, very easy. It's not a big deal, but we learned a lot. And the third one was something very special where we learned a really lot. It's a collection of 1,221 PFP NFTs. We called it Masters of Blockchain. It's a ERC 721 collection. And we were the party which organized and ran everything. This means marketing, development, everything, Discord, and so on, whatever is related to that, in order to create knowledge, provable knowledge in our team. And we were very successful. We sold out the complete collection in 27 minutes. And if you think about the bear market and the situation that we all have in the moment, it's really good achievement. So this is, let's say, what we created and learned, but still we had a big issue. And the big issue was how to bridge, let's say, the Web2 means traditional business with a new business, with the Web3. So now we created some kind of good, let's say, references more or less, and we created provable knowledge and so on. But what to do that? How to achieve the last target, and the last target is actually profit. And for that, we knew that we have to connect Web2, our traditional business world, and the new business world, which we just working on. So we started thinking about the steps which are needed to connect these two worlds from the business point of view. One of the steps was in the real life exhibition. So we created educational exhibition. It was great to educate the masses which were visiting that. It was great for onboarding, and this is what actually somebody from outside can see and think, but this was not the point. For us, from the business point of view, it was a meeting point for the customers. So we invited lots of retailers which joined us over there, and we had lots of interesting discussions about the future projects and about the future businesses, and not only Web3 businesses, also and even more Web2 businesses. So it was like an event with target to connect these two worlds. The second big point, and I'm very happy about that, we joined the Institute for Digitalization of the Tax laws, let's say, and regulations in Germany. And this is very reputable organization. There are so many universities and big companies like Bosch, Siemens, and so on, which are inside. Those guys are creating real scientific researches. They are advising the governments and EU and so on. So it's a really, really huge thing for us. And we are taking part on the blockchain group, trying to help, let's say, in order to implement and regulate the tax areas based on the blockchain. And this is something which is directly related to our core business, means fiscalization. We improved or we increased the level of teaching in real life. So I'm running several lessons which are in real life, because we think this is also something which is bringing those two worlds together. And we are starting in January something with what we call the Retail in Web3. These are basically talk shows where we want to invite the people from the retailers and maybe software vendors to discuss the Retail in Web3 topic. And by that, we want, let's say, to get together with our potential customer and to discuss the future. Let me remember you, as we started in the end of the 2021, beginning 2022, there were just 2 or 3 retailers which were in the space, and some of them which were talking about that and asking us about everything. But we had a vision. We had a vision that in one moment, lots of retailers will be there. We had a vision that the governments will regulate all the environment and the space. And we had a vision that if we create the knowledge and provide that knowledge, if we create the experiences and if we are able to prove them, that we will be able to make the business. And the key was that we were expecting that the retailer will run into the Web3 space. And look at now the picture, just a couple of months later, what actually happened. This is the number, sorry, this is the number and the picture of the retailers which are now, just in this moment, in the Web3 space. This is confirming our, our vision. And now can you imagine that the governments will not regulate that? Can you imagine that the governments will not ask all those guys to report the taxes? They will, for sure. And if they do that, we will be able to provide, let's say, our solution, our fiscal solutions in that environment by proving the references and knowledge which we have. So what are the achievements actually on this short journey that we had, or not really short, it's almost 1 year. So what we establish ourselves somehow in the Web3 space. I think this is quite okay. We have a certain reputation and we can prove it. This is fine. We established ourselves in the technical international groups as somebody who knows about Web3 space, who is able to do technical stuff, and who knows what he's talking about. And on the third point, we used all the way on our journey Web3 as a marketing tool to show that we are innovative. This is very helpful for us. And to be able to talk to the retailers on this totally new level and different level than previously. We are able to talk about something which is totally modern, new, and so on. And the third point, this innovation and work in the Web3 space are enabling us to close the deals with some of the very big and major POS software vendors in the world because they feel safe. They feel that we are able to cover even the future. And even if the future will not come, even if it's just a hype and it's dying, it's showing the mentality and the strategy of the company that we are taking care of the future, that we want to invest now in the future in order to make our customers, POS software vendor or retailers, safe, that they can concentrate on their business and we can run everything else. So what are the next steps actually for us? So we think that we have to be even more active in different international initiatives to support the regulation in Web3, in particular around the retail. We want to increase our reputation and develop it even more in the Web3 space by provision of the knowledge and the value to the community. So we will do even more trainings in our school and educate even more to increase our own reputation, of course. And we will focus more on the retail in the Web3. So we learn now Web3 and we want now to learn more about retail in Web3. If I may summarize the learnings that we had, and this is something which I want to give you on your way in the Web3. First, if you don't see the potential in the Web3 space, don't start. The migration of the products into the Web3 space, it's very, very difficult, and it's more difficult, especially if you don't see the potential which will be in the future. In order to see the potential for the future, you have to understand your market really good, research if you need that. You have to understand your own technology really good. And by the way, trust me, it's not that easy. Some companies are not really controlling their own technology. Learn about Web3 space in order to recognize the potential and create your own vision. Only if you have if you see the potential, only if you have the vision for Web3 space, it makes sense to move into that direction. Migration itself, it's not really the point. Moving from Web 2, I mean traditional business, into the Web 3 business is very complex. It's not the question of NFT collection. And this is now why I told you in the beginning, Web 3 space is actually not the NFT collection, metaverse, ownership of digital assets, tokenization, or whatever. It's much more. It's the question if you see the potential or not, and it's the question of the strategy. And by the way, the strategy that you need in order to enter Web3 space, it's much more complex than just creating an NFT collection. Investment in total, it's much bigger than you think. And even if you calculate the costs of the certain elements, all in all, it will be much more, I'm totally sure. The next point, which is very important, what we learned, you need to be successful on this journey. You need resources which are natively Web3 guys. If you are using traditional resources, it will not work, because you need the people which are passionate about the Web3 space. Everything is totally new. You have to deal with the many different time zones. And if you have to think about traditional way of working in the Web3 space, it will not work. So you need the people which are working differently. And to work differently, you need passion. It's much more difficult than traditional business, but it's not because the Web3 is difficult. It's simple because it's not that stable at all, and the risks are changing every moment. So even if you calculate with certain risks in this moment, tomorrow your risks could be totally different, because Web3 environment, crypto environment is changing so fast that you are not really able to calculate and recognize your risks in every moment for the longer time. That's why it's much more difficult for you. On the other side, it's totally new, and you can be really creative, and the chances are, of course, always bigger. If you have big risk, you have also big chances. The Web3 space is all about the stories, and I think I mean storytelling and everything what is related to that, and I mean actually all about marketing. The Web3 space is working like a big social network, and it's following lots of laws, let's say, which are applied on which are working in the social networks, like going viral, selling out only if the influencers are pushing you, and so on. These are the typical, let's say, characteristics of the social networks, and Web3 is more or less working like that. That's why the marketing which you will need is much higher, or marketing effort that you will need is much higher than in any other Web2 business. Another important point, Web2 business means your traditional business and Web3 have to go hand in hand. You cannot stop everything what you're doing in Web2, means traditional business, and start from tomorrow just being in Web3. It will not work. If you are natively Web3 company, then the picture is of course different. But if you want to move into the Web3, you have to combine your existing business with a new business. And by the way, the profits are always Web2. There, you will always get the money on your bank account at the end. There could be some station in between, like digital wallet, but the money is always at the end in your bank account. Don't forget, you have always two ways how you can earn profits around Web3. Either you do it in the Web3, or you use Web3 as an enabler for your Web2 business. Both of ways are good, but sometimes people are forgetting the second one, and this is what we are doing actually in the moment, using Web3 to enable us to make the business in Web2. All in all, I can summarize our strategy, which was actually very successful, in 4 steps. In the first step, we just watched. So it's a point where you are listening, you are watching, you are looking for the leaders, and you are learning from them. In the second one, you have to become a valuable member of the community. You have to provide value. Otherwise, you will not get anything. Third, take the leadership in the area which is your specialty. Where are you the specialist? This is the area of your excellence. Be leader in that, because everything is just starting, so you can do that easily. And 4, create and give value to your customer, and they will reward you with turnover and profits. So this means these 4 simple steps. And you know what is very interesting? We were not the first one which recognized this strategy. Let me show you something. Check this. This is the company, I'm sure you know them, Tiffany. They earned within 22 minutes $15 million. 15! And that by selling 250 NFTs, 30 ETH or something like that each. So this is what we see. We see unbelievable, successful moment as this company sold that many NFTs. But let me show you actually the strategy behind. What happened? Alexander, who is the head of product and communication, bought one CryptoPunk in February, 1st of February. So this means by that he entered the community. Then he created for himself CryptoPunk necklace with, you see, like over there, juwelier. And in the second step, as he already was established in the community, he asked the community if they would like to have the same, let's say, for their own CryptoPunks. Of course, those guys love the CryptoPunks and they confirmed it. So this means 80% of the community answered to him, yes, we would love to have this kind of product. Please sell us, make it for us. In the third step, he created the value for community. He created that product and he gave it to community. And community accepted it and he was able to sell out within 22 minutes. Coming back to the strategy. So what happened actually? Andreas, what's the name? Alexander? Yeah, sorry, Alexander watched, identified the leader, listened and learned. He saw possibility to make the business in the CryptoPunk environment. He identified that this environment would be great for him. He became a valuable member of the community already by buying the CryptoPunk, which is very expensive. Then he took the leadership in the area in which he is the best, and this is in creating the juweliers. He created one of them, which was great, which was perfect. And at the end, he asked the community if they want to have them. And in the first step, he created the value for all of them by providing this kind of products, which they wanted because they told him they wanted. Perfect. Well done, Tiffany. So guys, you see this simple strategy with simple 4 steps are followed by many, many companies. I'm not the first one which is implementing that, and Tiffany is also not the first one, and for sure not the last one. So guys, this is what I wanted to tell you. How was our journey, Web3 journey, and what we learned and what was our strategy. I hope this can help you to develop your own strategy. Join the Ape School, be part of the story, let's say, be part of the journey. Let's go it together and let's win together. It was my pleasure to talk to you. See you soon next time. Bye.